Father Barnabas Powell is pastor of Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene, Greek Orthodox Church of Cumming, Georgia, USA. Here's Father Barnabas with Sunday's homily.
When I first came to Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene almost 9 years ago, can you believe it? It feels like it's been much longer than that, and yet sometimes it feels like it just happened yesterday. When I came my first Sunday, I said to the congregation, of course the bishop snuck in and showed up on my very first Sunday too, and I asked him, snap, inspection, first day, really? But I told the congregation, I said, folks, the bishop has made me the priest here. Neither you nor I can do anything about that. But I look forward to growing into being the father of this community. Our nation, our society, our community, our current situation in this country and in many parts of the world is fatherless. Now, there are lots of reasons for that. In the late 60s and early 70s, Dad became the buffoon, the laughingstock. It started out with probably one of the greatest TV shows ever, Archie Bunker, and All in the Family. None of you remember that TV show? I do. I'm very, very old. And Dad was, before that, it was Father Knows Best and Leave It to Beaver. And the dads in the TV shows were these iconic, wonderful figures who demanded respect and they received respect, and they were honored in the community, and they were men of dignity and grace, and everybody looked up to them. Do you remember that? Some of you remember that. But it began to change as the culture began to become more protestive, shall we say that? Is that a word? I'm not sure. It is now. Bless God. Hallelujah. I just made it. Congratulations. Happy birthday. As the society became more protestive, as the society became more intoxicated with the notion of rights and demands. Now, to be sure, the culture had been in a situation where there had become institutionalized racism. There had become institutionalized inequity and injustice. And dear ones, you cannot mistreat the vast majority of the poor for very long until they rise up. They'll do it. Trust me, it's happened over and over and over again in history, throughout human history, when those who ignore the poor continue to ignore the poor, continue to ignore the downtrodden, continue to treat others as if they were second-class citizens and they were just the fodder for the really, really smart people or the really, really wealthy people. You can't do that for long, because guess what, gang? There's more of them than there are of you. And if they decide to not put up with it anymore, guess what? Things are going to get knocked over. Stuff's going to get broke. Something's going to get set fire to. And sure enough, in our society, that happened. Well, dear ones, have you ever known we humans to get the balance right? The pendulum swings too far one way, and then it swings too far the other way. In the 70s, Dad became the buffoon. In the 80s, it even got worse. You ever heard of Homer Simpson? Oh! And fatherhood became something to be ashamed of. Fatherhood became something that you didn't respect anymore. To the point where even today, when I'm counseling men and women, one of the things that I struggle with in so many people's lives and in my own life, because my dad was missing in my life since I was 9 years old. The reality is I have a hard time convincing people when I say God the Father that I haven't said something bad. And so generations of people have grown up thinking that God being called Father is not a good thing at all. We became more selfish and self-centered. Don't I deserve to be happy? Oh my God. Don't I deserve to... Are you 4? What's the deal? How old are you? Don't I deserve to be happy? No, of course you don't deserve to be happy. You deserve to be good. Happiness is never a goal. Folks, if happiness is your goal in your life, please hear it from me, and I say this as a loving father. You're an idiot. It's too small. Happiness is a feeling. It happens one way or the other. Yesterday I was driving back from Jacksonville, Florida, and I was very happy, and then I wasn't very happy, especially because I got caught speeding. I was ready to be home. The officer took exception to the pace of my driving. And he said so. Then I wasn't happy. The circumstances of my life had changed. And now I wasn't happy. Folks, if something is that fleeting and that quickly changed because of your outward circumstances, for heaven's sake, don't make yourself a slave to everything and everyone around you. Have something internally that's real to your life so that you might become by grace what Christ is by nature. Be settled, be at peace. That's what you were made for. But today we celebrate the Synaxis of the 12 apostles. And while it might not be politically correct, and while it might not be the zeitgeist of the moment, and while I may be misunderstood as saying something that is not quite proper, I want to say something today. We need fathers. We need fathers in our lives. We need fathers in our lives as physical children, and we need fathers in our lives in our spiritual lives. We need fathers, folks. We need fathers. You need fathers. You need a spiritual father. Having a spiritual father who loves you more than he loves himself is absolutely necessary. Now, to be sure, tough to find nowadays because we've so denigrated manhood and we've so denigrated masculinity that men are for good and ill. And don't get me wrong, gang. Again, the pendulum swings back and forth. The reality is that men have brought a lot of this on themselves. You can't mistreat half of the population forever and treat them like property and not expect stuff to go bad for you eventually. You just can't do it. Sorry. So, gentlemen, cinch up your big boy pants and take it. Apologize and be a father, a true father. But brothers and sisters, do not trade one sickness for another. An overemphasis on the feminine is not going to take us to a good place in this society. It won't. An overemphasis on the feminine, feminizing our men, feminizing our society, getting in touch with your feminine side, may be necessary to buffer the bad tendencies of masculinity. But if you swing too far the other way, folks, you're going to lose something important. Do you understand? It's meant to be both and, not either or. And, folks, guess what? Again, at the risk of being politically incorrect, it ain't never 50-50. Anybody who tells you it's 50-50 is an idiot. They're trying to sell you something. I don't want my rights, folks. Ladies, if you're demanding your rights, you're shooting too low. Do you understand me? If you're demanding your rights, you're shooting too low. Men, if you're demanding your rights, you're shooting too low. If you're black and you're demanding your rights, you're shooting too low. If you're white and demanding your rights, if you're poor and demanding your rights, if you are any local created tribe that might be popular nowadays, and you reduced your tribe to demanding their rights, you have shot too low, folks. You're shooting too low. What you should be asking for is righteousness and holiness and goodness and beauty and love, not merely rights. The sickness of expecting some kind of lowest common denominator, oh, well, we're just going to set the floor. I don't want to set the floor. I want to shoot for Christ. We need fathers in our midst today that aren't so much worried about their rights as they are giving themselves away. I had a young man that I was talking to yesterday who just graduated from West Point, and he's going in as a commissioned officer into the Army. And we talked about what he's going to be doing. And I looked at him and I said, son, if you're ever going to be a leader of men, it will only be as you are a servant of them. You'll never be. All true leaders are servants. All true leaders are servants. They lead by example. They lead by serving. That's true leadership. Only the evil one drives us, folks. That's the reason why Jesus today said that the people were like sheep without a shepherd. Any hireling can drive the sheep, but it takes a true shepherd to lead them. This morning, on this Sunday of the Holy 12 Apostles, thank you, men. Thank you, men. Thank you, fathers. Thank you, spiritual fathers. Thank you. Thank you for sacrificing your time. Thank you for sacrificing what you want for the good of your family. Thank you. Thank you for working as hard as you do. Thank you. Thank you for providing for your family. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. God bless you. God give you strength. And those around you who are around fathers, both physical and spiritual, if you have a good physical or spiritual father, for heaven's sake, this morning, say thank you. Amen.
You can follow Father Barnabas on YouTube or on our church website at stsrni.org. Thank you for watching.